Hello, Commanders, and welcome to Tadowski's Shelter. In today's video, we're going to talk about a pretty confusing topic as it pertains to Eden, more specifically Eden Rising, and one that has little to no information anywhere, and that is going to be the rules about guilds. Guilds is a newer concept for newer players when you enter Eden. There are a few questions and concerns a lot of players may have in relation to guilds, and I will share what I have discovered and hopefully try to clear up some confusion. There is a lot of information, and I'm going to try to sort through all of it as best as possible. Remember, like and subscribe if you like the content. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think, or topics you want to do, or questions you have, and let's get into it. You might be asking yourself, what is a guild? A guild is basically an alliance in Eden. In Eden, all members from various states will converge onto one map. And in doing so, this allows for multiple groups to unify across state lines to duke it out for top place. This is different from an alliance which can only contain members from your own state. Now, if you are in alliance in your state, chances are you were registered to enter Eden by your leadership team. That means that when you spawn onto the Eden map for the first time, chances are you will be located within the same sector as your alliance members. You all may be spread out, but all within the same sector at least. In order to start a guild, one must achieve over 20 territories owned and a personal influence value of over 10,000 points. Now, with that in mind, the place that you were initially teleported to when entering Eden is considered a sort of birth sector, quote unquote, meaning any guild that is formed in that sector can only be joined by people in that sector, initially at least. For example, if you were initially teleported to the north sector when you entered Eden and then travel all the way to the west sector but start a new guild in the west sector, only members that can join your guild are members from the north sector. You cannot recruit people from the west sector. Now, there are some variations to this rule, but we'll discuss that later on. For now, this is just a general rule upon starting and entering Eden. Now, this guild will operate much like your alliance. If you go to the Doomsday main menu and go to the season overview, you will see guild as the third option from the left. If you click on this, you can either join a guild, or if you're already in one, have access to looking at your guild's information, much like the alliance menu. You can see many things such as the members, you can separate your guilds into teams, you can donate to raise the level of the guild, you can see how much guild members have contributed, and you can see which guilds are friendly and which are not. As for the level of the guild, now guild levels will allow for more options and skills for members later on, but initially in Rising, the higher the level of the guild, the more members it can hold. A guild can hold a maximum of 200 members. We are talking a very large map and a lot of players. Guilds will naturally level up while you take territories and checkpoints, but like donating stone in Doomsday seasons 1 through 3, you can donate antibody resources to level up the guild. Now, this is not generally required as long as you have an active guild that keeps progressing forward, but it is still an option to help it move forward faster. The other thing we could talk about quickly is the breaking your guild up into teams. Now, this is a foreign concept that you haven't experienced because it's not an option in your alliance. But when you're talking about managing up to 200 people, breaking 200 people up into separate teams for better control and better coordination may be an appropriate strategy. How many groups and how many teams that you have is completely up to you and what you're trying to achieve. However, it is probably a smart idea to break groups down into more manageable pieces rather than having 200 people that are very active all going at the same time. Also, marking which guilds may be friendly to you and which are not can be very beneficial as you look on the map and you could see red and blue tiles to know whether or not an enemy is coming closer or whether or not an ally is coming closer. Keep in mind, you will have many members of many different states, and your guild can hold up to 200 members. Even if you have a full alliance in your state of active members, you are only talking about 100 people. At some point, you are going to want to work with members of other states and other alliances in order to achieve success and the highest rank that you could possibly get. Keep in mind, at the end of the season, only 3 guilds will be able to get rewards. So if you're not one of the top 3, you will not get anything as opposed to Doomsday Seasons 1 through 3. Now, this is also going to bring about the most confusing part of guilds that my guild and I have come across. What are the rules of changing guilds to a guild that was not created in your initial sector? I know that was a lot of words in a question and it may not make sense. Let me ask it one more time. What are the rules to change guilds to a guild that was not created in your initial sector? Remember, initially I said the general rule is when you enter Eden for the first time, whatever alliance is formed in that sector is the only alliance that you can join initially. However, as the event continues on, guilds will start crossing into other sectors. And if I am allied with a guild that is on a different side of the map and I eventually want to join them to make that guild stronger, how do I go about doing that? Another way to look at it is, let's say that Guild A was formed in the northwest sector and Guild B was formed in the southeast sector. Now, these two alliances have come to an agreement and want to merge to form one big guild. How can these two guilds become one, especially when they're so far apart? What are the rules and stipulations that allow for a member of Guild A to join Guild B or vice versa? And trust me, I looked for hours and days, and there was no clear information about this topic. There was a lot of assumptions and a lot of speculation, but after directly testing it out, I can honestly give you the best answer that I have come across. So let's say this is the situation. Guild A is in the northwest sector and Guild B is in the southeast sector. If a member from either guild wants to join the other, Guild A or Guild B, needs to be able to move into the other guild's quote-unquote birth sector, the sector that they initially arrived in. In this example, Guild B would have to get to northwest sector and Guild A would have to get into southeast sector. They do not have to both get into each other's sectors, just one guild has to get into the other and take a town. If either Guild A or B can make it into the other sector to create a presence or owning some town, they will then show up on the list of guilds an ungilded from that sector can join. So along your travels, if you take towns in various sectors, members that were initially placed in that sector would be able to apply to your guild. If this situation occurs, a member needs to actually leave their original guild. When you leave a guild, there will be a 24-hour cooldown. And after this 24-hour cooldown, they will then be able to join the guild that they want. Now, they must be in the sector that the member initially landed in. Without this, you cannot join a guild that has not been able to infiltrate your initial birth sector. So I hope that kind of clarifies anyone's questions about joining guilds that are not initially from your sector. This was a very tough tough subject to figure out. Currently in Eden, we were placed very far away from the guild that we wanted to be allies with, and it has been hard to get to each other in order to join us. So we tested a lot of different theories, but eventually this is the answer we came to. So if Guild A in Northwest wants to join Guild B in Southeast, Guild A needs to travel down to the Southeast sector and take a town. Gates and bridges are not considered significant enough to count as a presence. Another option is that Guild B would do the same thing, but in the Northwest sector. So I hope that answers questions in relation to swapping guilds or creating guilds in general. I know switching guilds can become a hot topic for various reasons. There could be a lot of dramatics in this game, and it can bring the worst out of some people that are normally good people. Now, that's a topic I wish to delve in more in a different video section altogether, but for now, that is the end of the topic on guilds, and that's it. So I hope this was able to clarify something for some of you. I know there's like no information about swapping guilds in the middle of a season or how to join a guild that is nowhere near you. So if you have any questions, comments, additions, topics, please leave them in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you like the content. Look for those lives, get some questions answered, learn something, have some fun. And remember, help each other out, share information, and most of all, have fun and be safe out there.